going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And welcome to my FIFA Team of the Week prediction series. So first up, just before we get on with the players and into the squad, I want to know if there's anyone you guys think should, or at least might feature in the squad this week, as well as what you think the next big FUT promo might be. I reckon it's going to be like Future Stars or something, so expect a predictions video on that later this week. And having said all of this, if you guys are interested in FIFA content, which you quite clearly are if you've clicked on this video, why not subscribe to the channel to stick around for more content like this? Now with the intro out the way, let's get on with the players. So first up, with the bench players, we have Okidja, who made plentiful saves, easy 3-0 win, keeping a clean sheet despite conceding several chances. Having said all of this, with him making plentiful saves, actually pretty much saving his team, it does just about warrant this guy in inform for me. Next to him, I did go with Rawson as the English centre-back, who did actually manage to score 2 goals from the centre-back position in a pretty big game for his side in his league. Mina, with 2 goals in a 3-1 win over Mexican league rivals at the weekend, with him just missing out on the match ball. I don't watch any Mexican league games, but considering how well he had supposedly performed throughout last year, he does clearly have something about him, and his total chances created in this said win makes for a likely candidate this week, I must say. Vassal, the English striker as shown on screen, also managed to bag a brace to eventually win the game for his side, quite like Gomes on the next page, in what seems to be the running theme of the squad already so far. For me, I know that Gomes is actually quite a decent player, and you can see with his card there, he actually has mental shooting stats. He kind of always has done, and whilst he's not been the fastest player, he's definitely been clinical, and it helps that he's in a bit of an easier league. Again, I don't watch this league, but I can imagine it is quite easy, especially for a player of his caliber. This running theme, as I've just said, is kind of broken by none other than Gerbic, who instead of not getting a brace, actually got a hat-trick, so it's even better. For a player like this, maybe a player that's not so much established as such, to go and get a hat-trick or so, yeah, likely to feature him in the squad after a well-worked performance at the weekend. And finally for the bench, I did go with Danny Ings, a man who has struggled with niggling injuries his entire career, and yet now he's just decided it's his time to shine. In his reign of sorts, Southampton have begun to turn their season round a bit, recently netting the winner for the Saints against Tottenham, which is always nice to see. Also, might I add, with Kane likely to miss the Euros 2020 with England, who do you think should be our number 9? And do you think we should consider taking Ings, potentially as a third striker? If you do, make sure that you leave a like on the video. Now to the starting 11, firstly, with the goalkeeper slot. With Newcastle's shotstopper Dubravka, this guy managed to make a solid amount of saves during their clash against Wolves, and yet despite that, the game did end 1-1. With his defence, he arguably made save of the season, or at least one of, and could easily feature in the squad as he did ultimately save his side. Another Newcastle contender could be Almiron. He did play left mid this game, so he wouldn't actually be the most exciting player in the squad, but he definitely is a contender after scoring the only goal in that game for Newcastle, also leading on his sudden goal scoring form. As you could have guessed, a lot of Newcastle fans weren't happy with how little he was contributing for the team, and it looks like he's begun to turn that around a bit, so that's always nice to see. Azpilicueta as the next player, aka Mr. Consistent. He's never really been too fast, too strong. He hasn't even really been one of the best, but he's definitely a very established player. He's been around for quite a long time, and he's always been a reliable player. And after a pretty rocky start to the season, Aspi has tallied a good bunch of goals and assists, and has been a standout player since. Another option for this game could be Reece James as more up-and-coming defender, as he also got an assist in Chelsea's recent 3-0 home win against Burnley. I have opted for Aspi though, as you can see, as the previously mentioned promo could likely feature Reece James in there, for what is looking to be somewhat of a bright future as a footballer. Beside him, I did settle for Theo Hernandez, following AC Milan's recent win. With a clean sheet and an 8.5 rating, this helps suggest that Hernandez so far this season has actually been great for AC Milan, and we could well be seeing this guy, if he does feature in the squad, potentially as a headliner card when the promo comes out. Now onto Almeida as the last guy in this defense. Benfica's senior wingback, seemingly not the most interesting card, but definitely a decent SBC fodder at a potential rating of 83 or 84. There's not much to complain about with this card, other than obviously maybe he's not fast and he's not really going to be that usable in terms of playing him. For me, this guy pretty much does deserve to be in the team, as he did score this goal. He did score one of only 2 goals. That would see out to be the difference in the game, with Benfica snatching the win. Moving away from the defence now and onto the midfielders instead, we do have Jankto of Sampdoria, I believe, which could also be replaced with Quagliarella and, you know, to be put in attack instead. Abdoulaye Doucouré, Neymar Jr. of PSG, and finally Bruno Fernandes as a Manchester United target, who's currently Sporting's star player. I believe Jankto, as I previously mentioned, had 2 goal contributions, where Quagliarella in the same game actually scored 2 goals for himself, meaning that either of these players could actually feature in the end. Doucouré being a goal scorer and actually scoring the opener in this game to return in Watford's most recent match, to retain his title of being arguably Watford's most key player in the squad, as they look to climb the Premier League table, that is. Neymar Jr. after his return, in what was quite a long break, I assume because of injuries or whatever. He has been nothing short of amazing since his return, and to make things that bit better, he has found his consistency over the last few matches, being my man of the match in this game for PSG versus Monaco, in the 6-goal thriller, as I'm sure you've heard about. Obviously being my man of the match doesn't matter all too much, but I do have my reasons, and whilst I'm pretty surprised to see Monaco well out of the top 4 in the Ligue 1, especially considering how well they played, Neymar not only pulled the strings in this game, he was also the goal scorer with 2 goals for the Parisians. And finally for the midfielders, after what was a pretty painful loss against bitter rivals for Sporting, they were quick to recover, much thanks to Fernandes, who also bagged a brace for Sporting at the weekend. Fernandes is a player in FIFA 20 that Fernandes is a player that is just actually really great. In FIFA 20 at least. A player that I actually really like. I've used both his normal card and his Europa League card, and I've come to enjoy both of them, knowing how good he can actually play. He reminds me to a player like Fekir, who is kind of the same as him, same rate, same kind of playstyle. Maybe Fekir is a little bit smaller and he's definitely left-footed as opposed to right. But for me, both of these players are actually quite underrated, and they're actually very good in Ultimate Team. Either way, Fernandes they were quick to recover, much thanks to Fernandes, who also managed to bag a brace for Sporting at the weekend. Fernandes is a player in FIFA 20 at least that I actually really like. I've used both his normal card and his Europa League card, and I've come to enjoy how good he plays. And now, I know it isn't real life, but this guy truly is class. And I think with him possibly going to Man United after a pretty impressive season in the Liga NOS, we could be looking at a huge signing this January. Now onto the final section of the squad, with the attacking front three as shown on screen, being Marcus Rashford, as possibly the most surprisingly young player, a guy who actually feels like he's been around for ages. Rashford actually earned man of the match after helping heavily defeat their opponents at the weekend. He did also bag a brace, with an assist to add to his name. Lyon's very own Cornet, for what has been pretty great form recently. Similar to his teammate Moussa Dembele, aiding the French side into what seems to be just a safer place in the Liga 1. And finally on to Sergio Aguero, arguably the most exciting. He's definitely in the top 2. As a very exciting card that I believe could actually become the first record breaker card in FIFA 20. Of course we know what the card looks like, but I don't think we've actually had an official card out yet. Do you remember back when Villa smashed a major MLS record and he just didn't get rewarded for it? At least in the team of the week anyways. And so for that I am a little skeptical about it being a record breaker card. Either way, He will undoubtedly feature in this squad, possibly a 91 rated card tomorrow. After he did score a really nice hat-trick to surpass Thierry Henry's title of non-English striker goals, I believe, or at least the goal tally. And that's in the Premier League, of course. Anyways, having explained this team and showing you all the players that I think are going to feature, that pretty much just wraps up my Team of the Week 18 predictions. So, for everybody, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment who you think will feature in the squad, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.